Before we dive into this thrilling story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest uploads. Your support keeps us going. Now, let's get into it. I should have known something was off the moment I pulled into the parking lot. There were no familiar cars, no noise, no cousins hanging around the dumpsters pretending no one saw them smoke. Just silence. The kind that doesn't sit right in your stomach, the kind that hints you've made a mistake but doesn't tell you how big it is yet. I parked anyway. Sat there for a second, trying to brush off the creeping feeling. Then I checked the message again. Friday. 7 p.m. Mateos. Can't wait to see everyone. Sent by Mom. 2 weeks ago. It was 6:58. I was right on time. Like an idiot. I stepped inside. The cold air from the restaurant greeted me, replacing the thick summer heat. Inside, there was music, soft jazz, clinking glasses, silverware tapping gently against plates. Not empty. Just wrong. I approached the hostess stand. "Hi," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "Thompson party. Private dining room." She glanced up, scanned the list in front of her, then tilted her head. "Oh yeah? That was last night." I blinked. "What?" She nodded. 16 people. Big cake. Your mom brought place cards. Looked lovely. No, it's tonight," I said, laughing, dry, humorless. "I paid the deposit. I booked it." She gave me a sympathetic look. "I'm sorry, sir. It says here it was for Thursday. Everything was set up then. Are you sure you're not confused?" That's when the laughter died in my throat. I didn't answer her. My fingers were already pulling out my phone, tapping the contact, calling. It rang twice before she picked up. "Hi, sweetie," Mom said, her voice bright, fake casual. "Everything okay?" I stared straight ahead. "Where is everybody?" There was a pause. Then she laughed, light, dismissive. "Oh honey, it was yesterday. We thought you weren't coming. But don't worry, we'll bring you leftovers." I froze. "What?" "It was yesterday," she repeated, like it was no big deal. "We'll bring you leftovers." Leftovers. For the dinner I paid for. For the family reunion I organized. Leftovers. Like I was a stray dog they forgot to feed on time. I didn't say goodbye. Just hung up. My hand shook, though I wasn't sure if it was from cold, rage, or just plain shock. I didn't yell. Didn't cause a scene. I just turned to the hostess and said, "Thank you," before walking out the door. I sat in my car for a long time. No engine running. No music. Just silence again, but this time it was heavier. Personal. I stared at my reflection in the windshield. The streetlights outside threw soft orange patches across the glass, and for a moment I didn't recognize the man looking back. Not sad. Not angry. Just empty. That's when the first text came in. "Tina Lomeo. Bro. You seriously missed it. Classic. Don't worry, we saved you a roll face with tears of joy." I didn't reply. I didn't reply to the next 5 texts either. Or the one from Aunt Carol. "Sorry you couldn't make it, Danny. We miss you, hope everything's okay." They missed me? I was the one who booked the damn room. I scrolled through my messages to Mom. I had texted her 3 days ago confirming the time. "Still Friday, right?" Her reply. "Yep. Can't wait, 2 hearts." They all knew. They just didn't care. That's when something inside me shifted. I'd been humiliated, excluded, and treated like a footnote in my own story. But the worst part wasn't the dinner. It wasn't that they planned it without me. It wasn't even that they used the money I gave them to do it. It was that they didn't think I'd notice. That's how little I mattered. I had always been the one to help, to show up, to make excuses for their mistakes. I gave when they needed and didn't ask questions when it was inconvenient. They saw that as weakness. And tonight? They saw an opportunity. To erase me without consequence. To laugh behind my back, clink their glasses in my absence, and send me a damn dinner roll like it was some kind of prize. I should have screamed. I should have driven to Mom's house and demanded an explanation. But I didn't. Not because I was afraid. But because I realized, for the first time, screaming wouldn't change anything. They already decided who I was in their story. The one who gets left out, who gets stepped on and doesn't step back. But what they forgot, what they always forget, is that even quiet people have limits. That the ones who never say a word are often the ones listening hardest. That the silence they mistake for submission is usually calculation. And tonight? I was calculating. The silence didn't scare me anymore. I welcomed it. Because in that quiet, something else was building. Not sadness. Not rage. But resolve. The kind that sharpens slowly like a blade, one edge at a time. They thought they'd won. They thought I'd take it. They thought I'd come crawling back. But they were wrong. Tomorrow, they'd find out how wrong. The thing about betrayal is that it rarely shows up all at once. It doesn't kick down your door, scream in your face, and declare its intentions. No, it seeps in, quietly, gradually, until one day, you look around and realize you're standing knee-deep in rot. And the rot, more often than not, has your family's fingerprints all over it. What happened at Mateo's wasn't the first blow. It wasn't even the hardest. It was just the moment they stopped pretending. The moment they didn't bother with excuses or fake apologies or convenient misunderstandings. The moment they stopped sugarcoating the truth they'd always known. I was never really part of them. I was a utility. A safety net. A checkbook wrapped in skin. And now that I'd been excluded publicly, I couldn't unsee everything they'd made me carry silently for years. Tina was the first. She always was. The bright one, the wild one, She just needs a little help getting back on her feet. 1. I got my first real job out of college, a steady paycheck and benefits, and I remember calling Mom, proud and breathless. Her response? Great. Now you can finally help your sister with rent. Not. Congratulations. Not. I'm proud of you. Just a gentle nudge towards sacrifice. That was the beginning. The first month of Tina's rent turned into 3. Then 6. Then a year. By then, it wasn't just rent, it was utilities, groceries, her car insurance. Then her dental surgery, because she couldn't chew properly. And was in so much pain. I paid it. I always paid it. Because that's what you do when you love your family, right? You don't keep score. But love, and my family, only flowed one way. It wasn't mutual. It wasn't reciprocal. It was extracted, drained, expected. I was told I was the strong one. That I didn't need much. That Tina was sensitive, and going through a lot, which somehow meant my needs were secondary. Always. When Tina decided to enroll in a nursing program, her fresh start, I paid for her textbooks. A few months later, she dropped out without telling anyone. I only found out when I asked her how her finals went, and she laughed and said, "Oh, I bailed weeks ago. That stuff wasn't for me." No apology. No refund. No accountability. I brought it up to Mom. Cautiously. Quietly. I didn't want to sound angry, just confused. Her reply? "Stop being so transactional. Tina's struggling. She needs our support." Funny how "our" always meant me. They used that line often. Don't keep score. We're family. But I wasn't keeping score. I was bleeding. They just refused to notice. 2 years ago, I remember wiring $600 for an emergency vet bill Tina had. Her cat had eaten something weird and needed surgery. Later that same day, she posted an Instagram story, new shoes, new nails, and a guy's hand wrapped around a champagne glass. #girls night out. I showed the story to Mom, thinking maybe, just maybe, she'd finally see what I saw. She smirked and said, "You boys always get so petty about money." Petty. I paid their property taxes last winter. Mom had forgotten, and the county sent them a lien warning. I handled it before they even knew. I've covered Tina's credit card minimums for 6 months straight, when she got laid off and claimed unemployment was taking too long. I was barely staying afloat myself, working late nights, skipping vacations, and microwaving cheap meals to make ends meet. But I never missed a payment for them. One Christmas, I maxed out my savings account to get everyone thoughtful gifts. Personalized. Wrapped. Shipped on time. And what did I get? A framed photo of the family. I wasn't in it. But nothing, none of that, compared to the night I heard what they really thought of me. It was about 6 months ago. I was staying at my parents' house for the weekend. Tina had just hit another financial wall, overdraft her account again. This time, she needed $1,200. Said she'd pay me back. Swore up and down. I didn't even hesitate. Later that night, I went downstairs to get a glass of water. I heard voices in the living room, Mom, Dad, and Tina. I stopped in the hallway, frozen when I heard my name. Tina. He's so obsessed with being the martyr. It's pathetic. Mom. I know. He acts like he's some kind of savior just because he pays for things. Dad laughing. Let him pay. He's not gonna find a wife anyway. Might as well be useful. Then Tina again, voice smug. You know he thinks we'd fall apart without him. A pause. Then a snort. Please. If he disappeared tomorrow, I wouldn't even notice. I didn't go in. I didn't say a word. I went back upstairs, laid on the bed, and stared at the ceiling for hours. And the next morning? Pancakes. Like nothing had happened. I didn't stop sending money right away. Not then. I just needed space. 2 weeks went by. No transfers. No check-ins. Then came the texts. Tina. Hey, I need help with rent. I'll pay you back. Promise. I didn't respond. Mom. Tina's behind on bills. She's in a really bad place. You know she's sensitive. Why are you being cold? I said. I just can't keep doing this. Her voice dropped to a blade's edge. If you're going to punish us for raising you, maybe we shouldn't have bothered. That broke me more than I admitted at the time. But I still sent the money later that day. Because I wasn't ready. Not then. But Mateo's changed that. That empty room, that jazz music drifting past the locked door, that hostess's puzzled look, Mom's chirpy voice saying, "We'll bring you leftovers." It snapped the last thread. 5 years. 5 years of giving, of explaining, of hoping they'd see me as more than just a bank account with a birth certificate. And for what? A cold roll and a text that said classic? It wasn't about the money. Not really. It was about how easy it was for them to ignore me. How effortless it was to take. To laugh. To exclude me on purpose and then pretend it was no big deal. They thought I'd never do anything. That I'd grumble for a few days, maybe ghost them for a week, and come crawling back. They banked on my silence. But silence isn't always surrender. Sometimes it's preparation. So I went home that night and opened every bank statement. Every PayPal receipt. Every Venmo transaction. I made a list. Column after column. Dates. Amounts. Descriptions. I printed it out. Highlighted the totals. Added notes. And when I was done, I sat back and stared at it. 5 years. Over $27,000. All gone. Not a single thank you that felt sincere. Not a single dollar repaid. Not a single time they looked me in the eyes and saw a human being instead of a wallet. They could call me dramatic. Petty. Overreacting. But this wasn't just about a dinner. It was about erasure. About years of being invisible until they needed something. And now? They'd get something all right. A bill. The morning after the dinner that wasn't, I didn't sleep in. I didn't mope. I didn't send angry texts or write some long, emotionally loaded post on Facebook hoping someone would notice my pain. I wasn't looking for attention anymore. I was looking for clarity. Control. Consequence. At 8:04 a.m., I sent a single message in the family group chat. Me. Let's meet at Mom's tonight. 7 p.m. I have something for you. No one asked what it was. No emojis. No. Sure. Or, can't wait. They didn't ask because they never asked anything when it came to me. I was the one who asked. The one who showed up. The one who gave. And now, I was about to take something back. By 6:58 that evening, I was parked in front of my parents' house, folder in hand, envelope tucked under my arm. The house was glowing with warm yellow light, the kind that always made it look more welcoming than it really was. Inside, I could see shadows moving, figures talking, laughing, drinking. It was business as usual. For them. I stepped inside without knocking. Mom looked up, smiling. She was fluffing the couch pillows like we were expecting company. "Hi, honey," she said. "We weren't sure if you'd still be upset." I didn't answer. Tina looked up from her phone. Her expression was sculpted with the perfect amount of fake sympathy. "You know we didn't do it to hurt you," she said, voice full of practiced remorse. "It was just easier for everyone to come Thursday. Most of us have lives, you know." She said that last part with a straight face. Like I was the burden. The one who'd made a big deal out of nothing. I walked to the coffee table and set the envelope down gently. "What's this?" Mom asked. I sat slowly, my voice calm. "It's a bill." Dad scoffed from his recliner. "A bill? For what?" "For the dinner," I replied. "The one you all enjoyed without me." Tina laughed. "You're joking." "I'm not." Mom narrowed her eyes. "Are you seriously trying to make us pay you back?" "No," I said, leaning forward. "I'm giving you the opportunity. Because from now on, anything you want from me comes with an invoice." Silence. That thick, stunned silence where everyone's waiting for someone else to fix it. Then Dad shifted forward, face tightening. "You need to drop this attitude. Son, we're family." "Family?" I repeated. "The same family that intentionally excluded me from a reunion I paid for? The same family that's drained me financially and emotionally for 5 years straight?" Tina rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on. No one made you pay." That was when it snapped. The fragile grip I had on my temper. The polite script I'd rehearsed in the car. I stood up. "You know what? Fine. Let's talk about what no one made me do." I pointed at Tina. No one made me pay your rent for 2 years. Or cover your overdraft fees. Or replace your transmission when your car died. I turned to Mom. No one made me pay your back taxes when you forgot and the county sent a lien notice. No one made me fund your birthday cruise because Dad forgot or buy groceries when you said your knees couldn't handle walking through the store. Dad's face flushed red. Watch it. Oh, I'm just getting started. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a folded list. I laid it down next to the envelope. You don't want to hear it? I've had to live it. Then the twist. I pulled out a second folder and dropped it on the table with a solid thud. What's this now? Dad snapped. I smiled. Documentation. Every single transaction. Every wire. Every Venmo. Every Cash App. Every receipt. With dates, purposes, and the bank statements to match. Tina snorted. Wow. You really are insane. No, I said, my voice low and steady. I'm protected. And then I dropped the bomb. I filed a fraud report this morning. Dead silence. I found out someone opened a credit card in my name. Last week. The same card that paid for a new iPhone and a spa package. I looked right at Tina. The same spa package you posted on Instagram and claimed was a gift from a friend. Tina froze. Her eyes went wide, then narrowed. Are you serious? I called the credit company. They're investigating it as identity theft. The address on file? This house. Mom stood. Daniel. No. I snapped. Don't pretend to be shocked. I gave every opportunity for honesty. I asked. I checked. I waited. And you all played dumb. So I stopped playing. Tina stood now too. You wouldn't actually press charges. You're not that petty. You think this is about petty? I shot back. You stole from me. You lied. You used me. Mom's voice shook. We're not criminals. We're your family. Try telling that to the police. I said. They'll be here tomorrow. And just like that, the room exploded. Tina screamed. You're pathetic. Dad stood, fists clenched. You want to send your own sister to jail? I didn't flinch. You want me to keep playing the idiot forever? Mom started crying. Real, chest-heaving sobs. You're destroying this family. No, I said, stepping toward the door. I'm finally saving myself from it. And then the second twist. As I turned to leave, someone spoke. Quiet. Soft. Unassuming. It was Luke. My cousin. The quiet one. The one who always kept his head down at gatherings, never took sides. I'd like to pay my share, he said. Everyone turned to him. He cleared his throat. Of the dinner, I mean. It's only fair. And I know I should have said something. But they planned to leave you out. I was there when they joked about it. Said you'd be too dramatic. I'm sorry. I looked at him. For the first time that night I smiled. Thanks, I said. Then I walked out. The next morning, my phone rang at 8:17 a.m. private number. I picked up. Hi, is this Daniel Thompson? Yes. This is Officer Reynolds from the local precinct. We're following up on a report of financial fraud involving a credit card opened in your name. The billing address is listed at your family's residence. We'll be visiting the property today for statements. I paused. Do you need me there? No, sir. You've done your part. We'll take it from here. I hung up and smiled. They'd finally opened a door they couldn't close with guilt. For once, I didn't have to speak. The police would do it for me. By 7:45 a.m., they were at my parents' house. 2 officers. 1 male. 1 female. Professional. Firm. Direct. We're following up on an identity theft claim. The card in question was used for over $4,000 of purchases tied to this address. Mom's response? There must be some mistake. We're a good family. Classic. They asked to speak with everyone in the house. Tina tried to leave mid-conversation, saying she had work. The officers asked her to stay. She cracked in under 5 minutes. It wasn't even fraud, she blurted out. He always helps. I thought he wouldn't mind. Mom jumped in. She's under stress. She didn't mean it. But it was too late. They wrote everything down. Asked to see Tina's phone. She hesitated. They insisted. That's when it got worse. They found messages. Screenshots. One text to her friend read. Use my bro's info. Spa day on him. IDC. He's such a pushover. He won't even notice. It wasn't just fraud. It was premeditated. Later that day, I got a call from a detective assigned to the case. We have enough to move forward with charges, he said. Would you like to proceed formally? I asked for a day to think. That evening, my phone blew up. Missed calls. Voicemails. Texts. Mom. Daniel, please. We need to talk. It was just a mistake. Dad. You don't want to destroy her life over this. Tina. I'll lose my job. My apartment. You're doing this to your own family. Funny how no one cared when I was losing pieces of myself. The next day, I called the detective. Can we pause the formal charges temporarily? I asked. He agreed. But understand, this doesn't disappear. It waits. I nodded. That's fine. That night, Mom called. Voice soft. Delicate. Coated in sweetness and guilt. If you really want to fix this, she said, come to the house. Let's talk. Face to face. Against my better judgment, I went. The second I walked in, I regretted it. Tina was curled up on the couch under a blanket, like some victim. Mom wore the worried matriarch look like a costume. Dad didn't even get up. We just want to heal, Mom said. We? I asked. We know you're hurt, but this is tearing the family apart. No, I said. Tina did that. Tina's voice cracked. I didn't think you'd actually go to the cops. Who does that? Someone who's had enough. Mom reached for my hand. Let's make this go away. We'll pay it back. You don't need the police. I pulled my hand away. Funny. You didn't offer that before they showed up. Dad finally spoke. You think this makes you a hero? No, I said. It makes me free. And then I walked out. For good. A week passed. I didn't hear from them again, not the next day, not the next 3. The voicemails stopped. The texts dried up. For the first time in years, my phone was silent, not because I turned it off or put it on Do Not Disturb, but because no one from that house of obligations and quiet betrayals was reaching out. They had said everything they wanted to say, and so had I. And more importantly, I had finally meant it. Then, out of nowhere, the detective called. We received a payment, he said, for the amount charged to the card. It came through an anonymous transfer, but the account is joint, it's under your parents' names. I didn't answer right away. I just sat there, staring at the wall of my new apartment. Sparse, still smelling like fresh paint and cardboard. No family pictures. No framed memories. Just space. Space that was mine. Would you like to press charges anyway? The detective asked. I took a long breath. Let it fill me, settle me, remind me of the power I now held, not over them, but over myself. No, I said. Not this time. But I want it on record. If she ever touches anything in my name again, I want her charged immediately. Understood, he said. And that was it. No dramatic endings. No courtroom showdowns. Just a simple choice. I was done. Not as an act of revenge, but as an act of release. I moved out of state 2 weeks later. A small town. Quieter. Kinder. I found an apartment with a friendly landlord and rent that was half of what I'd been paying back home. The air was different, lighter, cleaner, like it hadn't been tainted by years of being needed but never valued. My first weekend alone, I built furniture from flat boxes, listened to music I hadn't played since college, and went grocery shopping for things I actually liked. I cooked in silence. I cleaned without complaint. I woke up in the middle of the night not to the sound of my phone buzzing, but to stillness. And for the first time in more than a decade, I realized something strange. I wasn't responsible for anyone but me. I didn't owe anyone explanations. I didn't owe anyone rent or birthday cruises or emergency transfers. I didn't owe emotional labor to people who couldn't bother to call me unless they needed something. Then, 3 weeks into my new life, a letter arrived. No return address. Just a folded piece of paper inside, and a check. The note said, in uneven handwriting, I don't expect you to forgive me, but thank you for doing what I never had the courage to. Look. The check was for exactly half of the Mateo's dinner. I smiled. He didn't owe me anything, but he got it. The rest of them? I never heard from them again. Not for my birthday. Not for Christmas. Not even when Dad had surgery later that year. I only found out from a distant cousin's Facebook post, and even then I felt nothing. Not guilt. Not regret. Just confirmation, they were still who they were, and I was no longer required to participate. And you know what? Good. They finally learned what life without me felt like. And I finally learned how to live without them. People always say blood is thicker than water, but they forget the full quote. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Meaning, the bonds we choose matter more than the ones we're born into. I learned that the hard way. The last time I saw their faces was the day I left that house with a folder in my hand and fire in my chest. Since then, not a word. And the silence, it used to feel like punishment. Now, it feels like peace. Like air. A few weeks ago, I ran into someone from back home at the checkout line of the hardware store. A girl I'd gone to high school with. She looked at me, tilted her head, and said, "Hey, didn't you used to be Tina's brother?" I paused. Smiled. "No," I said. "I didn't." Just like that. No shame. No hesitation. Because I'm not Tina's brother anymore. I'm not the good son. I'm not the bank. I'm not the backup plan. I'm me. And for the first time in 32 years, that's enough. They thought I wouldn't survive without them. That I'd come crawling back. That I needed their guilt, their passive-aggressive love, their mockery masquerading as concern. They were wrong. I don't need Sunday dinners where I sit in silence while they toast themselves. I don't need text messages that only arrive when a bill is late. I don't need to explain to anyone why I changed my number, why I moved, why I never showed up again. Let them wonder. Let them stew. Let them explain my absence to distant relatives and confused neighbors. Because deep down, they know. They pushed me out. And for once, I didn't beg to come back. You want to know the best part? They lost their control the second I stopped asking for love and started demanding respect. People like that, they'll throw the word family at you like a weapon. But the second you throw back a boundary, they call you selfish. Cold. Broken. I'm none of those things. I'm just finally not theirs anymore. We grow up being told that family is everything. That blood is thicker than water. That no matter how hard life gets, your family will be the ones who stand by you. But what happens when that promise is broken? What happens when the people who were supposed to protect you are the ones who quietly, systematically, hurt you the most? This story, of a man who gave endlessly to his family, only to be left out of a dinner he paid for, reminds us that love without respect is manipulation. That giving without boundaries turns you from a loved one into a resource. That being the strong one doesn't mean you're invincible. It often just means you're the easiest one to use. And the most important truth of all, you are allowed to walk away. For 5 years, Daniel, like many of us, believed that family loyalty meant sacrifice. He paid his sister's rent, his mother's taxes, and countless bills. He didn't keep a scoreboard. He didn't demand payback. He simply gave, hoping it would be recognized as love, hoping someone would notice that he was bleeding from every direction while everyone else just held out their hands. But no one did. Instead, they laughed behind his back, mocked his generosity, and used his name for credit fraud. The worst part? They didn't even think he'd notice. And that's the first lesson people will take from you as long as you let them. Kindness, without boundaries, is not noble. It's self-destruction in disguise. We like to think that if we're generous enough, forgiving enough, patient enough, the people around us will come to appreciate us. But the reality is, some people only learn to respect your absence, not your presence. Daniel's family never saw him. Not really. They saw what he could do for them. And the moment he was no longer convenient, they cut him out. No arguments. No warnings. Just silence and a dinner rose sent via text. So here's the second lesson. Love is not obligation. And loyalty should not cost your dignity. We are taught that saying no to family is cruel. That refusing to pick up the phone or decline help makes you cold. But sometimes, choosing yourself is the most radical form of love, because it means you're finally protecting the one person you were never taught to protect, yourself. Daniel didn't get revenge. He got clarity. He didn't scream or beg or threaten. He simply gathered receipts, spoke facts, and let truth do the talking. His power didn't come from yelling. It came from finally valuing his voice enough to speak. And when that didn't work, he let the law speak for him. This isn't just about one family. This is about how we let people treat us. About how long we stay silent, thinking if we're just a little more patient, things will change. But sometimes, change only comes when you walk away and let the structure collapse behind you. The silence Daniel gained at the end of his story wasn't empty. It was freedom. The absence of calls, of guilt, of obligation. It wasn't loneliness. It was clarity. It was proof that life doesn't have to be filled with constant emotional labor disguised as duty. That brings us to the next lesson. You don't owe your peace to the people who shatter it. Walking away isn't weakness. It's strength. It takes more courage to leave a toxic dynamic than to keep enduring it in silence. Because endurance feels noble. But true growth means recognizing when enough is enough. And sometimes, the most powerful sentence you'll ever say is, "I'm not yours anymore." Daniel's story teaches us that boundaries are not barriers. They're doorways to peace. That you don't need to be loved by people who don't respect you. That being the good one, only means something if you're also treated well. And that sometimes, the most powerful transformation happens not when you win a fight, but when you decide to stop fighting for people who never fought for you. He moved to a quiet town. Built his life again. No drama. No explanations. Just peace. Real, earned, sacred peace. And then, one act of grace, Luke's letter, his payment, his acknowledgement, showed that even in a pile of broken bonds, a small thread of truth can shine through. That someone saw. Someone knew. And someone respected the choice to finally say, enough. So if you're someone who's felt used, overlooked, taken for granted, remember this. You don't need to scream to be heard. You don't need to be invited to matter. You don't need to burn yourself out keeping others warm. You just need to choose you. You are allowed to stop carrying a family on your back when they never once offered to carry you. You are allowed to ask for respect. You are allowed to walk away and not look back. You are allowed to rebuild your life, quietly, proudly, peacefully, without asking permission. Because at the end of the day, healing isn't about who comes back to apologize. It's about finally realizing you don't need them to. And that's freedom.